Today is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020, and today I'm thinking about how one of the big ways that the people who control society right now, one of the big ways that they operate is they put on these grand spectacles and they force everybody to pay attention to them, and they force everybody to have an opinion about it one way or the other. The one thing that sets them off the most is when people just say, "Nah, I don't believe it. Nah, it's nobody died. It's a hoax. It is just a bunch of people conspiring together and none of it's legitimate." That is usually the one thing that just sets people off. They want you to have a strong feeling about it one way or the other. And the list is endless of examples of this type of thing. Just for example, the debate over, oh, did they make it to the moon or not? Did they make it to the moon or not? They are 100% okay with people arguing back and forth about, did we go to the moon or not? The one thing that they don't want people talking about is the truth of outer space is not real. Nobody can get there. You cannot get past the firmament. The moon is a light in the sky. Just things that completely dodge their box are the things that set them off. What they try to do is they try to stick you in a box, and they want you in that box arguing instead of just stepping right outside and saying, outer space is not real. That's fantasy. That's not a real thing. And so that's just one example of many. They want you, now I'll just throw out another example. Nowadays, a lot of people are getting really into Hitler and being apologetic to Hitler. But if you come out and you say, hey, Hitler is an actor played by Walt Disney, and they're just all people playing for the same team, and it's just a big theatrical production, that is what sets people off. So here's the verse. Luke chapter 7, verse 32. They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace and calling one to another, and saying, we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept. And I think that this describes exactly what these Arrested Development children, I think too of the meme of sticking three children on top of each other's shoulders and putting a coat on them, and they go around pretending like they're an adult. It's the same type of thing. Arrested Development. I think of Peter Pan. What's the story of Peter Pan? A boy who never grows up, but then they get alleged women to play the role of Peter Pan. But it turns out that those women are actually castratos. They're boys who never grew up, and they just pretend to be a girl. And this comes up in Matthew as well. Matthew chapter 11 talks about the same thing. And it reminds me of this from Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee, cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. Think of who leads people today, and it's the media. The media is the major thing that leads people, and I would say the current narrative. Whatever the narrative is that they teach you in school, that's what's leading people astray. The fake outer space land is leading people to not believing in God. Same thing with all sorts of, the fake evolution stuff, same idea. Most other things are to take you away from God. But, also the media is just very blasphemous. Again, just trying to take you away from God. That's usually the main thing. But sometimes they just put on these freak shows just to do it, just to see people's reactions. Because they're like children in a marketplace trying to get people to react. They're bored. They know it's all fake. They want to be a part of it. And so the way to be a part of it is to put on some psyop. They copy each other too. They don't really have original ideas. And they'll do it on small scales too, local stuff. Here's just some ridiculous story in the news that made me think of this today. Police investigate after teens in gorilla costumes steal BLM sign, make ape noises, and pound on steps. What kind of teenagers, how do you get a hold of multiple gorilla costumes? That's very expensive. So this is probably just a fake story. But I've known some higher up Illuminati people, and they love costumes. I've known one that had an astronaut costume, because they probably knew it's fake. It's the same way these Illuminati people, they have globes in their house, because they know that they're fake. They know that the globe is fake, a lie. Normal humans do not have the money to go shell out on a globe or care that much. But when these people figure out the truth, when they're illuminated into these secrets, then they get obsessed with it. That's what the constant stories about the gorilla suits, it's because they know the secret. They know that gorillas are suits, and It's like in the verse how it says they're calling to one to another. The people, the children, the Arrested Development children, they're constantly talking to one another with signs and symbols. Orange 33, gorilla suits, that kind of stuff. Colors. Why do you think Hillary Clinton wore this royal purple color after the election? Well, because red and blue makes purple. And their codes aren't even that complicated. It's kind of on the nose most of the time, and it's exactly what you would think. Yeah, that we got the red, the conservative, we got the blue, the Democrats, and then when the election's over, what's Clinton wearing? All this purple. It's a unity color, and there's more than that. There's royalty aspects too. But same thing. I just want to show this connection to sports teams. The most frequent comment, or not sports teams, same idea though. Countries. What country you're born in? It's kind of the same way. What sports team do you root for? Usually it's just where you're born. And they get you to be prideful of all these different, it's a divide and conquer thing. They need you to be a part of something and have these emotional reactions, and I don't know what it is. Is this pride to I think it probably is. These people do get very prideful of which sports team they're a part of or which country they happen to be born in. In the kingdom, we're not going to have different countries and different flags. This was just interesting that white, red, and blue is by far the most common flag color. And the red and blue idea, it means that you're playing both sides. That was just more information on that. All the world's a stage. We really are ruled over by a bunch of Arrested Development eunuchs and they're actors. Their whole life is a play. And they love to tell us about it. That's what the whole Truman Show thing is. True man. There's even more implications of that this is a big show about the true men. The very few true men that are left. A big one. A big playing both sides. That you got the evil boogeyman, Hitler, and you got the good guys. And World War II, theater of war. They call it the theater of war for a reason. Look at the coding here. 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Is that just random? Or are the people in control of the narrative obsessed with numbers? 11, 11, 11, it's 33. And this goes way back. Civil War. The Civil War was a huge mock thing put on by the Masons. You got the Red Lodge, you got the Blue Lodge, and they love this stuff. Have you ever wondered, why does stuff when they put on these reenactments, why do people even have interest in that? And it's because that's all it ever was. They're reenacting enactments. They like to just pretend to have war, and it's really just a big camping trip. The Western Theater. These people, they change their names and they move across the country and they tell their clueless family that they died. They just send a letter to them. And yeah, sometimes I'm sure they tell their family because their family's in on it. But these people, they play these games with people in their lives all the time. What do you know? Red versus blue. That's what they always use in these graphics. Red versus blue. The Iron Curtain. Theater. Do you get it? It's an iron curtain because it's a theater. I was looking for the oxymoron of Civil War, and this one came up. I just wanted to show that they're constantly trying to mock religious people. But more than that, whenever they're mocking religious people, they're mocking Christians in particular. They're saying that Christian Science is an oxymoron. Oh yeah, and what, CGI out of NASA? That's science? Of course not. Yeah, Civil War is an oxymoron. They love telling you the truth in plain sight. It was a civil war. Okay, I think I'm going to mostly finish up. I just have some slides from interesting war photos. It's all set up. It's all a big production. They send these journalists out and there really isn't any war going on. It's just, even another thing that people talk all the time about is war games. It really is just political games that higher ups play, and really people don't die. They just don't. That's why they're very often smiling, and that's a Masonic handshake back there. I don't know. I have videos on war, so I don't want to get too much into it in this video. I just thought the word capitulation was an interesting word. It has cap in it, like capstone. Capitulation ended up being 44 in Chaldean, and destruction is 44 in Chaldean. There's a lot of action shots of war that make you think, make you scratch your head. Was this iconic World War II photo staged? And you can just go read that article. It's pretty hilarious BS. Interesting, it was on this tiny volcanic outpost. It sounds like something out of an action movie, right? 5'5" photographer has an amazing tale. Built in with this whole World War II thing, too, is the Apollo thing. And again, not something that I really want to get into, but it's part of they want you stuck in this box of, no, they didn't land on the moon, versus, oh, they totally landed on the moon, rather than people saying, nobody can land on the moon. It is a light in the sky, and there is a firmament. So it's a moot point to even talk about landing on it, because you can't get there. 2, with the fake war stuff, is this fear-based mind control on nukes. Nukes are not real. It was a huge psyop in World War II about nukes. I thought this was really interesting. I saw this image of Elvis, America's Cold War, and then right underneath it was this Space Needle looking thing, Divided Heaven, Cold War. If you know anything about Jurassic Liars, I just thought this was really weird how this Elvis thing came up right next to this Space Needle thing. And yeah, I'll finish up. This is really just a collection of images I thought were interesting. Look at the hips on these people. Have you ever wondered? The military people look frumpy, and when they get old, they look like old grannies. And look at their suits. Their elaborate suits are their distraction, so you don't see that they have huge childbearing hips. I'll just leave it at that. The whole narrative is written by these Orange 33 Arrested Development children in the marketplace, communicating with one another with their dumb signs and symbols, and they will spaz if you don't buy into their game, if you don't buy into whatever the current psyop is. Just notice how they have made it impossible to live your life without being affected by this psyop, which is nothing. This current psyop, you know what I'm talking about, and it's nothing. And I'll just end with this. The first epistle of John, chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. This whole world, for lack of better word, is fake and gay. And none of history is true except for what they tell you in the Bible. But even that, you know how all the alleged great philosophers of old have told us the beginning of knowledge is to just completely erase all of your preconceived notions. And they're telling you the truth, that you live in a fake place where everything at face value that you're given is fake. And you're going to have to use your own discernment and find the truth for yourself. And I can tell you that the truth always brings me back to the Bible and Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the truth. He woke me up, and that's why I'm here today doing these videos. God bless everyone.